Hi everyone, my name's Electric and today we're back on the Python series. Now this is probably going to be the last video in the Python series. It's a relatively short series, just because mainly it's not been getting the same amount of views, so it's obviously not as popular as the Game Maker content. So I'll probably be returning to Game Maker after this. I might do a few things every now and then if I find something particularly interesting, but for the majority I'll probably be moving back to Game Maker since it seems to be a lot more popular. And this does mean, for the people who have been asking, that we will be returning to the RTS series finally. So I did say we'd go back to the RTS, and we're definitely going to go and do that. So the next video will be some sort of reintroduction to the RTS almost. But yeah, for this video, just to round things off, we've got 4 kind of working options here, but I just thought it'd be pretty cool to go in and do a little bit more of error validation, or not specifically error validation, but error checking with our first option. So option 1. These can go away. I will also try and activate my windows. There's someone keeps reminding me. I do need to try and remember to do that. But anyway, we're going to option 1. Now, we're going to have a few things going on in option 1, which I'm going to talk you through. So the first thing is we're going to say it needs to be in range 4 to 10. So I just pull those random those numbers out of my head. Even pull them out of my head, pull them out of the hat, something like that. I've forgotten what the expression is. But anyway, we want to do some sort of check to make sure it's within the range 4 to 10, because I realise we've not actually done any range checking, and that's something that's quite important. We use quite a lot, so I thought I'd do that. So yeah, what we're going to do is we've got an if statement here, and this should take priority, because basically we're saying if it's blank, then we break. Although in theory we can now get rid of that, because if it's not in the range 4 to 10, then this won't pass anyway. So we can actually just get rid of that. We can just get a if statement. So we want to check if it's within the range this 4 to 10. So we can do if. I'm going to do the slow way first. I'm not entirely sure if the other way works on Python, but we'll see in a minute. So there's something we can use called len, which will calculate the length of the variable, so like that. If len name is greater than 4, and it needs to be, oops, that's not how you do, and it's got to be less than 10, then we're going to add it to the list. Else we're going to say it's not valid. Just a bit like that. We don't need the S either. That's going to be safe. We also need to think a little bit about how we're planning on doing this, because we do of course want to stop it, and I think that's where the elif came in. Right, so we're actually going to add that bit back in. I've just realised. So that bit just there, we do actually want to break. We do want this to be an elif. Something's not liking it there. What? Have I missed something really obvious here? Oh, it's the double equals. It's probably yeah. It can sometimes be a bit weird, VS Code. Not what it thinks is an error here. It will spread all the way down. But anyway, so yeah, I'll talk through what's actually going on here. Because we've got a while loop, we keep adding names until we hit space, which is why that was there. So that breaks from the loop, and this is the bit we've added in effectively, this bit here. So we're saying if the length of the name is greater than 4 and the length of the name is less than 10, then we're going to add it to the list. Otherwise we're going to print not valid and ask it to input again. So we can run this, be able to see if we put in an invalid name, for example my name would be in this case invalid. Of course this works a lot better for passwords and stuff. This isn't really meant for names, but anyway, if you put in a name that would fit, or in this case not on the bit, it accepts it, adds it to the list, wherever. If we put in space, we should see only Stephen is added to the list, Tom is not added to the list. So there we go, there's a little bit of error validation in that sense. There is another little way, and I'm not, as I say, I'm not entirely sure if it works or not, but we'll give it a go. So I'm going to copy this, and we'll try it the other way. We're going to do the same as what we've done in a for loop. So we're going to say if len names, same as before, or name in this case, in range 4 to 10, then we append. So we'll give that a go, see what that comes up with. So if we put it out the range, if we put it inside the range, I think it's added. Yeah, it has added. So there you can see, that one is slightly efficient. I wasn't entirely sure if it would work, but you've kind of got to think when you're doing in Python, does this make sense? So in this case, I think this makes a lot more sense than this, because we're literally saying else if length name in range 4 to 10, which really like explicitly says even if you knew no Python you could probably figure that out, apart from the elif. You could probably look at this and figure it out. So that's probably the easiest way to check ranges and stuff. There is a few other things we could do though, which I think are quite cool. So let's think, to start with, some keywords perhaps, let's start with letters. Might be easier. So let's say our password or our username even has to have a few characters in. So we'll maybe do a J, G, and D. Okay. So it has to have one of those letters in, let's say. This is all just completely theoretical, of course. But anyway, so inside the bit where we'd normally append it, what we want to do is actually loop through the characters. So we're going to use for I in range, just like we've done before. We don't have to put stop because stop is default, the start is default at 0. We're going to put len name, and then what we're going to do is say if name I. So remember we did the grid call, the array list kind of calling, same for strings, so just like this, if name I, so the index I, same in GameMaker, is in key letters. Again, this makes, or not is, even just in, this makes sense because we're literally asking, is this letter within the name in the key letters? And if it is, then we're going to add it, and we're going to break. If it's not, then it's going to loop through this for loop all the way through, and it's going to eventually get to here, and we're going to print no key letters. And it's not going to add it then, because the only eventuality, it loops through here, it checks all of them if they're in key letters. If it is, it appends, breaks in the loop, and then it will print no key letters. So I guess there's a little problem there. There's ways we could go around it. I'll do it in a minute. Yeah, it should say this instantly. If, well, either way, actually, it's a bit pointless. If we put in H, not in valid range. If we did put it in valid range, but making sure not to use any of the digits, it'll say no key letters. If we did put some of the things in, so put a G at the end, it'll still say no key letters, but when we actually look at it, there you go, it's actually added it. Because it's looped through all the letters, checked if they're in the key letters, if it is, it's appended, and then it's broken. But of course, no matter what, even if it breaks here, it'll print here. So we can get around this using a variable. So So we can say cont, standing for continue, equals false. In fact, we want to put this higher up, and here, if we've successfully added it, we're going to change it to true, and here we're just going to say if cont equals false. So if we've not successfully continued, it's going to print the error message. And now if we run this, we enter the name, we'll just do that. No key letters. If we did put some key letters in there, like that, there you go, it's added it successfully. So this is how you could start to build a little error checking, password checker, something along those lines. And honestly, I think we've made quite a good basis with these 4 files for Python. If you want to continue with Python, it's just not the way I'm going to take the channel. And obviously I'll be happy to go through any other bits within it. But for the next video, we'll be going back to GameMaker. So anyway, if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, or else do as you want to do, and I will talk to you in the next one.